So if you've already started doing some of those lean in conversations where you drop in to students while they're working, are you ready? Are you ready to try some more formal conferring? I'm hoping to give you some ideas here in this video that might be able to help you out. One common thing that we hear from teachers is, I have so much content to cover. Meeting with every student is going to take so much time, too much time. And you're not wrong, but let's also try reframing that statement. Your students have a lot of history to learn. Let's put them in the action seat. And on top of that, what skills do they need to learn that content? And then finally, how can conferring propel their learning forward and faster? How can it really be worth the time it's going to take? But let's also be realistic here. No one is asking you to meet with every student in one class period. While it's possible, it's not probable. And to be honest, you may only meet with each student one time over the course of a quarter, but that one meeting is better than none at all. And we previously covered some of those reasons why in the first session. And let's also remember that some of these conferences with your students, especially if it's about a particular project, essay, or assignment, will be less than 1 minute. You're not necessarily going to take 5 minutes with each student. So again, the step one is to circulate and drop in when they're working and confer with them about how they're doing, their process, what goals we want to set. Because don't forget, you are the most important resource in the room. And these 3 questions can help reframe your role in that room. What parts of your content do you have to or need to instruct because they are so big, they are so confusing, they are so difficult for students to grasp? What can they learn independently, or what can be translated into a video, a station, a reading, a project? And how can I use those 2 things to get face time with each student to support their individual needs, to provide the scaffolding and differentiation that each student is going to need? So it kind of makes sense here that getting face time with each student is going to require a shift from teacher-centered instruction, which you see here on the left, to more student-centered practices, which you see here on the right. Conferring cannot occur when it's teacher-centered day in and day out. So previously, we talked about how you can and should look at a chunk of lessons. So whether it's a week or 2 weeks or a month, you want to kind of look at your plan. This can also happen when you are meeting with your team or starting to plan your next unit. Where are there opportunities to talk to students about their performance, their writing? Some lessons are going to lend themselves more to that than others. Again, here's that need. What do I need to instruct? Think of that too in content and skills. And as you already do, what are some best practices? What are the things the students need to know? What are the things the student needs to do? And then when? When will it fit with my pacing, with the demands of this curriculum and the proximity to the assessment? I don't want to meet with the students the day before their assessment. I also may not want to wait until after the assessment. So let's make sure that we think about the importance of during the unit talks. Let's remember Shane from our Gordon Ramsay clip and how much he could have used even just a check-in with Gordon during the process. So here is a typical 45-minute class period broken into 5-minute chunks with just a very vanilla student handout kind of task. So if this should look somewhat similar or familiar to something you've probably done. You do a warm-up, there's a quick lesson intro or instruction. Here's a sample, we'll do one together, I demonstrate for you, I turn you loose for about 10 minutes of time here. We might come back together and go over part of it. Then there's another 10 minutes of time for them to continue working. And then we come to lesson closure. If we're trying to find the time to do conferring, the lean-in method, you could have had 4 conferences in this class period. If you leaned in and dropped in on a student while they were working or during this work time to talk about either this task or a previous task or the thing that's coming up in terms of goal setting. The next step would be to try and translate this lesson into a station rotation model, where over the course of a day or two, you would have a chance to meet with every student in this teacher-led station. So again, that shift from a teacher-centered lesson or a more teacher-centered lesson here to a more student-centered lesson here buys time. It buys chances for you to see and meet with every student and work with every student. It's important to remember that the diversity here is key. No one can do stations every day. No one can really do that kind of student-centered lesson every day. But the more your lessons can include independent work time, stations, ways for you to fit in short conferences with students, the better off you'll be in the long run. I've compiled several resources here for how to do station rotation. Remember, it is not just stations. Station rotation is a specific kind of station model that puts you at a station, a teacher-led station. And will have hyperlinked these on the next slide in the Nearpod. I also loved that I could find a social studies example